Christmas lights are supposed to feel comforting, but the year I noticed one house across the street copying everything I did, stopped feeling safe in my own home. I used to love Christmas nights, the quiet, the soft glow of lights reflected on snow, that heavy, peaceful silence that settles after midnight. The world feels paused. This happened when I was 22, living alone in a small rental house on the edge of a suburban neighborhood in northern Ohio. Nothing fancy, just a narrow street, identical houses, and neighbors who barely spoke beyond polite nods. The house across the street had been empty for years. That's important. No lights, no cars, no movement, just darkness until the night after Christmas Eve. I was sitting on my couch around 11:30 p.m., watching reruns with the volume low. Snow fell gently outside, coating the street in white. My own Christmas lights blinked softly warm, yellow bulbs lining my windows. That's when I noticed it light across the street. At first, I thought it was a reflection, but when I stood up and looked through my front window, my stomach tightened. The empty house wasn't dark anymore. It had Christmas lights, the same color as mine, the same pattern, even blinking at the same pace. That's weird, I muttered. I'd lived there almost a year. No one had touched that house. The mailbox was stuffed. The yard was dead. I told myself someone must have moved in recently. Still, why tonight? The next night, I noticed something worse. I turned my living room lights off across the street. The lights turned off too. I froze. No way. I whispered. I turned mine back on. So did theirs. I stood there, its heart pounding, flipping the switch slowly. On, off, on. Every time the house across the street followed exactly. Same timing, no delay. Like someone was standing inside, watching. Me, waiting. I laughed nervously and stepped back. Get a grip, I told myself. Coincidence? But I didn't sleep well that night. On December 27th, I decided to test it at 2:14 a.m. I turned off every light in my house. Total darkness. Across the street. Darkness too. Then I turned on just my hallway light. Across the street, a single hallway light appeared. My hands started shaking. Someone wasn't just copying the outside. They were copying the inside layout of my house. That wasn't possible. I whispered, barely breathing. Something's wrong. Grabbed my phone and zoomed in behind the curtain of the hallway window across the street. I saw movement, a silhouette, standing still, facing me. I backed away from the window slowly. My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Merry Christmas. My blood went cold. I typed back. Who is this? 3 dots appeared, then disappeared. Across the street, the hallway light turned off. Then every light in that house turned on at once. Bright, blinding. And there, in the front window, a man, standing, perfectly still, holding a phone, raised, pointed directly at me. My breath caught. Then, my phone buzzed again. I like watching the lights with you. I screamed and dropped the phone. That's when the power went out. My house plunged into darkness across the street. The lights stayed on. Police arrived 20 minutes later. They searched the house across the street. No furniture, queuing, no electricity, no wiring connected, and no footprints in the snow. But before they left, one officer pulled me aside. Just so you know, he said quietly, that house has been vacant for 6 years. I moved out a week later, but every Christmas since, when I turned my lights on, I wait, just to make sure no one turns theirs on too. I've always loved Christmas carols, but the night a stranger kept singing outside my door long after I told him to leave, realized some songs aren't meant to end. I was living alone. That December. My apartment wasn't big, just a 1-bedroom unit on the 3rd floor of an old brick building downtown. It's a kind of place with thin walls, flickering hallway lights, and radiators that hissed like they were breathing. Christmas week had been quiet, too quiet. Most of my neighbors had gone home to their families. This building felt hollow, like a shell. Every sound echoed more than it should have: footsteps in the stairwell, doors closing 2 floors down, even the wind pushing against the windows. On the night this happened, it was December 23rd. I remember the date because I had just finished wrapping the last of my gifts. The tree glowed softly in the corner of the living room, reflecting off the dark window. Outside, snow drifted down in thick, lazy flakes. It was peaceful. Then came the knock. Not loud, not aggressive, just polite. Knock. Knock. I checked my phone. 9:41 p.m. I wasn't expecting anyone. Kay stood up slowly and looked through the peephole. A man stood in the hallway. He was tall, thin, dressed in a long, dark coat. No hat, no scarf. His hands were folded neatly in front of him. He smiled when he saw movement behind the door. "Merry Christmas," he said warmly. His voice carried through the wood, calm and pleasant. "I'm a caroler. I'm spreading some Christmas cheer." I hesitated. Caroling in an apartment building. At night. "I'm good, thanks," I replied. "I'm not really in the mood." "That's okay," he said quickly. Too quickly. "It's one song." I felt a twinge of unease, but I didn't know why. "No, really," I said. "I'm not interested." There was a pause. Then he started singing, soft at first. "Silent Night, Holy Night." His voice was good, smooth, controlled, like he'd practiced for years. I stepped back from the door, unsure what to do. "Sir," I called out, "please stop." He didn't. His voice grew louder, filling the hallway. "All is calm. All is bright." Something about it felt wrong. Not the song, the timing, the fact that he hadn't knocked on any other doors. I listened closely. No muffled conversations, no doors opening, no other voices joining in, just him outside my door. When the song ended, I waited. Silence. I let out a breath. Then knock, knock. "I hope that brought you some joy," said. "It didn't," I replied sharply. "Please leave." Another pause. Then he said something that made my stomach drop. "I can hear your tree lights buzzing." I froze. That wasn't loud. That wasn't something someone could hear unless they were standing very close, pressed near the door. "I can hear your breathing too," he added gently. My chest tightened. "Go away," I whispered. Instead of responding, he knocked again. Slower this time, deliberate. I backed away, grabbed my phone, and dialed my friend Mark. He lived a few blocks away. "Hey," I whispered as soon as he picked up. "There's a guy outside my door. He won't leave." "What?" Mark said. "Call the cops." "I will. Just stay on the line." From the hallway, the man spoke again. "I don't like being ignored." My blood ran cold. Mark heard it. "Dude," he said quietly. "Who is that?" The man chuckled. A soft, dry sound. "You're not alone," he said. "That's good." I whispered into the phone. "He knows." Another sound followed. Not knocking, singing again, but this time a different song. "God rest the merry gentleman." His voice was lower now, slower. Each word stretched just a little too long. I crept toward the door and looked through the peephole again. The hallway light flickered. The man stood closer than before, too close. His face filled most of the peephole now, and his smile. It wasn't warm anymore. It was wide, too wide. His eyes weren't focused on the peephole. They were focused slightly above it, like he knew exactly where my face was on the other side. "Something's wrong," I whispered. Mark was breathing hard on the line. "Call the police now." I dialed 911. While it rang, the singing stopped. Silence pressed against the door. Then the man spoke, barely above a whisper. "They don't need to come," the dispatcher answered. 911. "What's your emergency?" There's a man outside my apartment, I said quickly. He won't leave. He keeps singing, and the man knocked again. Harder, this time. The door rattled. He's trying to scare me, I said, voice shaking. I'm on the 3rd floor. Stay inside, the dispatcher said. Officers are on the way. The man sighed, a long, disappointed breath that always ruins it. He said, I heard footsteps moving away. I waited, held my breath, listened. Nothing. A minute passed. Then DeMarc stayed on the line, whispering reassurance. I think he left. I said finally. That's when my phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. I'm still here. My heart slammed into my ribs. The dispatcher spoke urgently. Sir, are you still with me? Yes, I gasped. He texted me. He's still here. How did he get your number? I don't know. Then I heard singing again. Not in the hallway, inside my apartment. Soft, faint, top coming from the other side of my living room, near the window. I turned slowly. The blinds were closed, but behind them a shadow, standing on the fire, escape level with my window, singing Silent Night. I screamed. The dispatcher shouted instructions. Mark was yelling my name. I stumbled backward, tripped over the coffee table, and crawled toward the bedroom. The singing grew louder, closer to a tapping sound hit the glass. Tap, 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 tap. I locked myself in the bathroom and slid down against the door, shaking uncontrollably. The singing stopped. Then came the whisper, right outside the window, so close now. Police arrived minutes later. They searched the hallway, the fire escape, the roof. Nothing. No man. No footprints in the snow on the fire escape. No sign anyone had been there. They told me it was probably a prank, a sick one. But here's the thing. When they left, finally checked my phone. The unknown number had sent one. Last message. Next year. Sing with me. I moved out the next month, and every Christmas since when I hear carols I turn the volume down, because sometimes, late at night, I swear I can still hear someone singing along. Christmas morning is supposed to feel warm and safe, but the year someone watched us open our presents from inside the house, learned that comfort can be an illusion. I was 14 the Christmas this happened, old enough to stay up late, young enough to still believe that Christmas morning was sacred, untouchable, a time when nothing bad could happen. Our house sat on the edge of a quiet town, surrounded by tall pine trees and open, snow-covered fields. It was beautiful in winter, isolated, but peaceful. Or at least, that's what my parents always said. That year, the snow came early. By Christmas Eve, the world outside looked frozen in time. The road disappeared under white drifts. The trees bent under the weight of ice and snow. Everything was silent in that heavy, muffled way that only winter brings inside. The house smelled like pine needles, cinnamon, and something baking in the oven. My mom hummed carols while wrapping last-minute gifts. My dad sat on the couch, pretending not to watch the clock. My younger sister, Emily, wouldn't stop shaking the presents. Stop it, I told her. You're going to ruin Christmas. She grinned. I already know what I got. Don't, I said. She leaned closer and whispered, I heard footsteps last night. I laughed. Nice try. But she didn't laugh back. I'm serious, she said. I woke up and someone was walking around downstairs. That was Dad, I said quickly. No, she replied. It was slow, like they didn't want to make noise. That night, after everyone went to bed, I lay awake longer than usual. The house creaked, as it always did. Old wood adjusting to the cold, pipes clicking, wind brushing against the siding. Normal sounds. Still, I pulled my blanket a little tighter. Sometime after midnight, I heard it. A soft thud, then another footsteps. Downstairs, slow, measured. I held my breath and listened. They weren't heavy like my dad's, not rushed like my mom's. When she forgot something, these were careful, as if whoever it was knew exactly where the floorboards would creak and avoided them. My door was slightly open. I stared at the thin line of darkness in the hallway. Nothing moved. Eventually, exhaustion won. I fell asleep. Christmas morning came early. Emily burst into my room, screaming, "It's Christmas." The fear from the night before faded instantly. The house felt warm again. Safe? We ran downstairs together. The tree lights were already on. Presents covered the living room floor, but something was off. I couldn't place it at first. Then I noticed. The cookies, the plate we'd left out for Santa, was empty. Not just crumbs dashed clean. The milk glass sat in the sink, rinsed. "Mom?" I called out. "Did you clean up already?" She came in from the kitchen, frowning. "No," she said slowly. "I haven't touched anything yet." Cod joined us, rubbing his eyes. "Someone ate the cookies," Emily said, smiling nervously. "Santa," Dad said automatically, but his voice lacked confidence. We sat down anyway, started opening gifts, wrapping paper, tore. Laughter returned. The moment almost felt normal again, almost. Then Emily froze. She was staring at the couch. "What?" Mom asked. "There's an extra present," Emily said. Silence filled the room. Dad looked down. There was a small box under the tree, wrapped in plain brown paper. No tag. None of us recognized it. "That's not from us," Mom said quietly. Dad picked it up. It was heavier than it looked. "Maybe it's a joke," he said. "From your uncle." "We didn't invite anyone," Mom replied. Dad hesitated, then opened it. Inside was a VHS tape, a single word written on the label. "Christmas." My stomach twisted. "What is this?" I asked. Dad didn't answer. He looked around the room, then toward the hallway. The house suddenly felt too quiet. "We're not watching that," Mom said firmly. Dad nodded and set it aside. We finished opening gifts quickly after that. The excitement was gone. The rest of the day passed slowly. By nightfall, snow began falling again, thick, heavy. By midnight, the roads were completely blocked. The power flickered once, twice, then went out. The house dropped into darkness. Emily, whimper Ed, Dad lit candles and checked the breaker. Nothing worked. "We'll go to bed early," Mom said. "Power will be back by morning." I didn't sleep. Not really. Around 2 a.m. I heard it again. Footsteps. Tosser, this time, on the stairs. Step. Pause. Step. My heart pounded. I heard my parents' bedroom door open. Dad whispered, "Did you hear that?" "Yes," Mom replied. The footsteps stopped. Then a voice from downstairs. Soft, familiar. It sounded like me. "Dad," the voice called. My blood ran cold. "That's not you," Mom whispered. The voice called again. "Merry Christmas." Something moved at the bottom of the stairs. A shadow. Too tall, too thin. Dad stepped forward. "Who's there?" he shouted. The lights flickered back on suddenly. The shadow was gone. Morning came without incident. The snow had stopped. The power was stable again. Dad searched the house from top to bottom. No signs of forced entry. No footprints outside. Nothing. Missing except the VHS tape was gone. We never talked about it again. Years passed. I moved out. Emily grew up. Christmas became quieter. Then, last year, my parents decided to sell the house. Before leaving, my mom called me. "We found something," she said, "in the attic." She sent me a photo. It showed an old TV, a VCR, and a tape labeled Christmas minus 1998, the year it happened. Mom's last message read, "We never owned a VCR." They didn't watch the tape. They left it behind. But every Christmas morning, now when I sit in my living room, opening gifts, I'd say sensation, like someone is standing just out of sight, watching, waiting, and remembering a Christmas that was never meant to be shared. Which story scared you the most? Comment below and subscribe for more true horror stories.